And welcome into My Chamber TV, the heartbeat of the community. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is my good friend I haven't seen you in months.
Yes, ma'am.
Paul Friedlander.
It's been way too many months. Yep, and co-hosting this awesome Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce TV.
And boy, do we ever have some fabulous guests too. And I'm going to just let you go ahead and introduce this
These are
lovely
two
couple.
that have become very, very, very good friends. This is Les and April Saland of AL Saland Insurance, and you know what? These guys are not short for words, so I'm going to turn it over to them.
I think
and
so.
Let them. They have an insurance company that covers the gambit, but I know today they're going to speak about some very specific topics that they want to talk about that pertains to what's going on today and where their niche is. So I'm going to turn it over to Les, April, whichever one of you guys want to start. Tell us about it.
Well, I'm going to start as usual.
Let her start.
Thank you, Barbara Paul, for having us. This is great. Our insurance agency has been in business since 2003, 17 years going strong. What I always say to get people enticed in our agency is if you own it, ride it, or can wear it, we can insure it. And at this point in time, there is a lot going on, especially with our community and what's going on with the world today. Les, why don't you share with us some of the information in regards to our agency?
Well, we are a boutique agency, so we like to give that personalized customer support. It's something I learned a long time ago. People want that. You know, April often says, well, what about the internet-based? That's not our client. We want people to feel comfortable that they know that if they have an insurance question, they're looking to call us, not trying to figure out which insurance company they want. And we've got a lot of people that like that, especially these days. We've been exceptionally busy. I would suspect that we're considered an essential business during the pandemic. No one's getting rid of their car insurance, their health insurance, and their homeowner's insurance. Matter of fact, people are looking more now for life insurance. So we've been blessed, very busy, and we're excited about, what the future holds.
And I love the fact that it's a family-owned business. We're very supportive, especially with the chamber. My husband and I support family-owned businesses because there is something a little bit different, to say the least. You rise above the rest, and corporate is corporate. All that is well and good, but there's just more synergy where you engage with your customers a little bit more, higher level of consciousness. What's happening in today's world? Because I can't really find a whole lot of people that really know anymore.
Yes, you are correct. What we found is while you're at home and most of the communities working from their home, when we go to do a quote and we ask, well, send over your deck pages, your information, we will. But when you get home after a day's worth of work and you're feeding the kids, doing this at 10 o'clock at night, the last thing you think about is insurance. Well, while you're home, send us in your information. Let's see what we could do for you. And that is what we've opened up, and it's been extraordinary. We've been blessed during the pandemic and the
awesome.
COVID-19 because we're able to share and help with others. And if you are perfect and you should not move, we're going to tell you. No way, your policy's great, it's fabulous, stay where you're at. We're here to help you. We're not here to hinder. And being a brokerage firm, we're able to run through many, many carriers. We are not, because we're independent, we don't have to just have one carrier. We're able to go to, as we say, a variety.
And that's, I think, very important to our business model, is that we, as independent, we can contract with many different carriers. I can have conversations with the underwriter. We're blazing our own trail so that if we see something needs to be done, or there's an opportunity, or somebody needs something, we can act on it because we don't need to have, corporate approve it. We don't have to have a corporate, headquarters deciding whether we should or we shouldn't.
Right.
We can move forward with it, and so we're able to seek out better opportunities for our clients than, if you called, a captive agent. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I won't mention Allstate or Geico. But if I was, those are the people that I would recommend, I would say. But, we're able to do what we need to do for our clients and go above and beyond, because our philosophy is, it's under promise, over deliver.
That's interesting that you say that. So you keep pretty much everything on your own business table. And I love that. You're making your decisions right there. And to me, that's a faster contact with your clients, right?
Yes.
And they can reach out to you. You're accessible.
Yes, we do find that when you call a carrier, you're a number. When you call us, hi, Michelle, how are the children? The dog had surgery last week. We are so kept in touch with our many, many clients over 17 years.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, everyone's like, well, what is your marketing budget? Well, it's raising more and more each year because it's mostly by referral. It's us in the community. It's being known. It's showing what we could share in the community. Because if we can't help you, we won't stop till we find somebody who can.
So that's great.
And we've had people, we've said, we can't help. We can't help. We can't do what you want to be done because we can't do it, and I don't believe it can be done. And I can't tell you how many times they come back to us and say, we
Because of
tried,
the
but it couldn't be done.
That's
the
right.
honesty, and that's what people are looking for more so even in today's times.
Yes.
This crazy COVID, I'm so tired of talking about it, but you know what? It's a real deal. It's something that we need to
Yes,
work
it is.
around, and those of us that can work around it are doing well.
Yes.
Now, what about the health insurance side? Do you guys work in that arena too?
Absolutely.
That is how we built the business.
Okay.
You know, I became self-taught when the Affordable Care Act came out. I read the law. I understood how to work within the
Let's
confines.
be a little more honest. He didn't just work with it. He carried around the 900 pages and Les retains about 98% of what he reads. So when we go somewhere, we went around with Gus Bilirakis, with SCORE. We shared, when Obamacare came out, we were the health insurance experts.
And so, you know, that's just evolved, and it's really become part of our core. From that type of business, whether it be under 65, whether it be Medicare or group benefits, because to me, health insurance is all the same. Co-pays are co-pays,
Right.
hospital stays are hospital stays, doesn't matter what you have. But that became our core, and that's how we started evolving and started doing the auto in the home, so people know if they have a question, they can call us, and they'll get to figure out who it
And
is.
in reference to the health insurance, let me take it a little further now. With it's probably become even more prevalent with people either being furloughed or losing their jobs and things like that. Are you able to help people in that direction?
We can always help
outside of,
people.
I guess, what, for lack of a better way to put
The
it,
enrollment.
outside of spending a fortune on Cobra?
Well, and Cobra is expensive, but a lot of times we tell people you need to stay with Cobra as long as you can.
Gotcha.
It depends on the situation, and there are no two situations that are the same.
To answer your question, absolutely yes.
Yeah.
What I tell people, oh, you want a green rubber band around that policy? Les can do it. If there's anything insurance-wise, we can do it.
And I often say to clients, April told you we could do what?
That's what I say.
And
Yes,
then-
Les can do it.
And then we go about and we do it. We just
Right.
figure out how to make it happen.
And in a pre-conversation, one of the things I wanted to bring up today, because I think it's so critical, is commercial. And I know you do commercial, and I know one of the pitfalls in commercial is that people don't pay enough attention to their policy. And all of a sudden something happens and goes, well, you didn't tell me you went from 10 to 12 employees, or you didn't. So I'd like you
That
to talk a
is
little bit about that.
And we didn't talk about this beforehand, but you know, it happens all the time, and it just happened again yesterday with a client. They get their renewal and they pay the dollar amount and they put it away, and they never look to make sure that the coverage hasn't changed as their business has changed. So I've got stories. I have not a young man, but a gentleman that had a sailboat he bought like 18 years earlier. He had it insured for, I think it was like $30,000, and over time he added on a depth finder and all these different gadgets. And then one day, through whatever means, it caught on fire and the ship burnt. The sailboat burnt up, and he got $30,000 out of a $180,000 investment because he's the one that just paid the renewal and put it aside, and never made any changes to it.
And you are correct, because if you start with 3 employees, now you have 7, your payroll has changed, your taxes have changed. You need to have your insurance policy, they actually say, every 6 months should be reviewed.
And it may seem like you're getting a good deal because the premium doesn't go up until you have a claim. And then they're going to turn around and say you didn't have the proper coverage.
Correct.
And then you don't have a claim.
And
So
that
just have a
also
loss.
has to do with structures too, because I've heard that the same thing there. They've changed the structure, they've added, and again, pay their policy, put it away, have a fire, as you mentioned, or something that harms the building, and you go, sorry, it was only covered
Yes,
for
your
this.
screened-in porch that you added on was not covered, unfortunately.
Listen, insurance is one of those things people don't want to talk about.
No.
It's kind of like
I
We
know.
do life insurance, so
I
we have
know.
to talk about
Right.
death.
I know.
Nobody wants to talk about it, but once you get into that conversation,
Yeah.
it's not that hard to
It's
have.
not as scary. It's like I don't want to talk about that because of this
Yeah.
or that or whatever. I just went through that with my homeowner's insurance.
Yes.
And we had a couple of claims, but fortunately it was a while back. And I always get frustrated because we have the insurance, whether it's car, home, whatever, and then you have a claim, you have an accident, and up goes the insurance.
Yes.
Okay, so it's one of those things that I can totally understand. You just don't want to really talk about. Let's talk about homeowners for just a moment. How do you fare with that? Do you have a number of sources that you can go to if one says no?
Absolutely.
We have 12 direct appointments with carriers, and then we're sub-agent for other bigger agencies that we can write through.
Okay,
So
that's good to know.
Yes.
We could
Because I've got a
write-
lot of friends that are going through the same thing, so.
Well, I love it when somebody says, "Oh, I've been with my agent 20 years."
That doesn't-
That's great. However, the law is set up by the federal government. You have to follow rules.
Mm-hmm.
You will get the same quotes from other agents. It's who you want to work with.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I love it. I've been with Geico 20 years. Really? Look at your quotes, people.
Exactly. We are running out of time. I want to ask you, how long have you been with the chamber?
Well, we were with the Central Pasco Chamber for a number of years, and then I was what we call the president of the Central Pasco Chamber up until last year when we combined with the West Pasco Chamber to create the Greater Pasco Chamber, which is just a benefit to the
14
community.
years, baby, with the chamber.
Yeah,
14 years.
So needless to say, it's a good mix, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
appreciate you guys taking the time to be on today. Just remember out there, and I know the younger generation loves to go online and do everything online. Until you have a situation and you don't have a real person to call A.L. Saland Insurance. April Les, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gotta go. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. We're back with My Chamber TV. We are the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. We're excited to offer some great guests with us, and we have Paul Friedlander back in the saddle again
Who
together.
has the honor of co-hosting with you, Ms. Barbara Margot
the
Kelly.
honors.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
it's great.
of course, as Les mentioned in the last segment, the Greater Pasco Chamber of
It
Commerce.
is the Greater, the
with,
merge.
with about 1,100 members.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yes.
That is so cool.
And one of those awesome members
I
with
know.
us today, and that is Miss Lisa Parisi. Lisa joined us, what's it been, 7, 8, 9, 10 months ago, I believe.
I was here last
With-
February, yes.
Was it? Yeah. So
Yes,
Express
I was.
Employment Professionals, Miss Lisa. I want to turn it over to you. Tell us what's going on in this crazy
Please.
time, all the positives that are happening.
I certainly will. Thank you for having me. It's great to see both of you. The main point that we need to drive home is that the national unemployment rate is hovering at a little over 11%. Pasco County is not even at 9.5%, which comparatively the last time I was here, big jump, a huge jump. But as an employer, we have an employer that puts people into jobs. There are plenty of positions available. The workforce needs to get out there and apply and become involved. We have no idea what's going to happen with unemployment. We are number 49 out of 50 states for the lowest maximum amount of unemployment benefits.
You guys hear that? That's why I'm
Yes.
so glad that you brought that up, Lisa, because of the unemployment and people are waiting and hoping. And you know what? Go get a job, right? They
And-
are out there.
The maximum benefit amount weekly is $275.
Right.
There's one state that is lower than us, and that is Mississippi. So if you want, comparatively, if you want to compare the cost of living in Florida and the cost of living in Mississippi, you cannot survive on $275 a week. The $600, in my humble opinion, was a huge oops. It should have been
It
more.
was. I was shocked.
It should have been to scale.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Unfortunately, because the administration was trying to get money into the economy and into people's pockets that needed it, there are a percentage of the population that took advantage of it.
Sure,
But there's
sure.
a percentage of the population that takes advantage of anything.
Exactly.
So now we are at a point where we don't know what the federal benefit is going to be, and in the process of waiting, you're still stuck with not making enough money.
That's right.
And it can run out at any time. There's no guarantee there's going to be any.
That's right.
So, I mean, the positions that we have open range from human resource management generalists to CNC operators, fabricators, production, clerical. I mean, you know, apply at expresspros.com online. We'll get you set up immediately with a phone interview. We'll get you in. We'll get you working in a matter of days.
That is so good to know, and to be able to share that with you. I tell you, you've been with Express for a good little while.
Yes, I have. I took over officially last February when I was here, shortly before I was here. I was new in my position, and I am anniversarying 3 years this month.
Awesome.
And I've seen such a turn in the workforce. It's just unbelievable. And what COVID has done for employers and employees is disgraceful. I mean,
Yes.
people are really scrambling, and the whole working remotely. I mean, that's something that each employer has to figure out. But manufacturers, you know, I mean, are still working every day. And you know, another thing that the community needs to know is that responsible employers are the employers that I deal with. Okay.
Bingo.
Just like I interview an associate, I qualify a company. I would never place someone that wasn't social distancing, making sure that the workplace was completely COVID, well, as COVID ready as you can get, with temperature checks and et cetera. They all have a plan and they're executing it. So for people that are afraid to go to work, if you come to us, we are not working with employers that are not looking out for your best interests.
See, that is key. And that may be part of the fear factor of people not contacting an agency like yourself that helps place them. Because if I was going to be going out looking for a job, I would want to know, where am I going? How clean are they? And what are they doing with the social distancing? Because I mean, people are in fear today. They truly are.
And the fear is real, Barb.
It is.
I mean, the fear
is real.
Real. It's warranted. But when you come to a business like ours that just anniversaried 14 years on July 10th in Pasco, so we're very proud of that. We are as associate friendly and worry about our associates in the same realm we worry about our clients. I wouldn't put someone. I wouldn't qualify a company that wasn't responsible.
So you go and obviously check these companies out before you
Absolutely.
bring them on board. I love to hear that.
Absolutely.
So you really have that peace of mind if you call Express, go in and apply, and to be able to, I mean, you just jump right in there and just reel them in, get them out there, get them working.
Yes.
Is that how I understand
Yes.
that?
When a company calls me and wants to do business with me, the first thing I do is make sure that I have done a safety inventory check, make sure that everything is safe to place an associate, and go from there. And now the list has really doubled because I have to make sure that my associate is going to be there's going to be as minimal risk for COVID as possible. Is it going to happen? Yes. I mean, is it going to be traced back to my employers? I pray not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, and it just goes to show it's affected everyone, including the employment agencies.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, no matter where you go, no matter where you turn, right, Paul?
Exactly.
Crazy, crazy times today.
If you see me smiling, it's because I'm listening to you guys go back and forth. And I'm gonna sitting between two ladies. I'm gonna disagree and probably get
poor
blasted.
thing.
But to me, there's two hands. You got a hand over here of concern and a hand over here of fear. And you guys have thrown the fear word out there a couple of times. And I totally disagree. The people that are living in fear are the ones, in my opinion, that are sitting at home, sucking their thumb, collecting their unemployment, not doing anything to move forward. Concern is, and it's not a shot at anybody, but concern is that side where you wash your hands, you check your environment, you make sure you're social distancing.
Right.
But you don't stop living.
No,
I mean,
you don't.
You can't
I
stop
agree.
living, and that's why when before we started this segment, you talked about the fact that you're busier than you've ever been.
Yes.
I'm in the title business. I work for Total Title Solutions. We actually had, the owner of our company sent a memo out at the beginning of July that we had the highest open order and closed orders in the history of the company. And we're talking about 31 offices throughout Florida. So there's people out there that are still thriving. And even I go back to 2007, 2008 when the real estate market crashed. Guess what? Yeah, a lot of people sort of went home and said, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. But there were a lot of realtors out there that were still thriving, still building their business. The key is that as a human nature, we don't, if we've been sort of lazing around, we've been, you know, back then you could, blind dog with a note in his mouth could have sold a house. People don't know how to ramp back up to do the hard work that's necessary to make things
Yes.
work.
Well, and you know,
you guys are a perfect example
And I was
of that.
just going to say that, because if you can get with an employment agent
Yes.
and get the exposure here on My Chamber TV, and there's people watching out there that's probably thinking, oh, maybe we ought to call Lisa
Right.
and see what it's like.
Yep.
I never live in fear,
Yep.
to your point,
Yes.
because we just have that
You have to be
mentality.
careful. You have
But
to be
you do. You
concerned.
have to be careful. You have to use some common sense.
Right.
Because if you sit and dwell on all of that, it's going to hold you back from getting
Yep.
a job. If somebody comes to you in fear, you're going to feel that right away.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
We're adding new people to our staff every day. So
There you go.
So you may have to revamp what your thought process was, depending on what your career was. And I think you'll agree with me, but there's people like you out there that can help these people revamp.
I love
Absolutely.
But you can't help them unless they pick up the phone and call you.
it. That's right.
Exactly. And
That's
you know,
right.
as a corporation, Express Services has implemented eSkills, which is a learning program where
Excellent. Excellent.
you know what? I misspoke. It's not eSkills. It's Express
I-
Learns. It's Express
Yes.
Learns. Okay, so there's a bunch of different. If you want to learn about QuickBooks, if you want to learn a trade, if
Love that.
anything that you want to learn, if you show an interest in want a job, we will actually provide free training in any given area.
Okay, what you
And-
just said, if I was on the other side of that camera, would make me pick up the phone and call.
Right.
Thank you.
Because there is a lot of people out there that don't have those skill sets, or don't want those skill sets, or they've already been down the road with employment. This is a great way to really get the message out there,
And-
Lisa. I tell you, it's awesome.
And they have the time to do that now.
Exactly.
They have the time. You can, again,
Exactly.
that's what I was trying to get at before. You can take advantage of this time in a very positive way, or you can take advantage of this time in a very negative way and get two different results.
I agree.
And you guys are one of those advantages on the positive side, where I can call you. You can put me into an e-learning class or express learning class,
Right.
and I can move forward and learn some stuff. Even if you're already working, I'm sure that you can probably take advantage of some of these classes anyways.
It's so funny because everyone talks about a new norm. What is going to be the new norm? Okay,
We make our own new norm.
Thank you, thank you. But if you do have to switch careers
Yeah.
and you do need a refresher on a computer course, like you haven't used it in 20 years, and we know that it changes daily, we can provide that. It's free to the associate, it's free to the client.
Excellent.
I mean,
Well,
it's
we're
a
running out of
win-win.
time, my dear, and
But
I
we
know you've been a
appreciate it.
member
Yeah, I
with the
know.
Pasco
Goes so
Chamber,
fast.
with the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce for a good little while, haven't you?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we have.
And that's another great point of coming to you. And I hope everybody will give her a call
Give
if
a
you're
call.
looking to find some employment. And if you're not, think about it. It could work for you. You've got it all. Thank you.
Thank
Love you,
you
girl.
so
Have a
much.
great
Thanks
one.
for
Thanks for
having me.
being
Thank
on.
you.
Always.
We'll be right
Thank you.
back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back into My Chamber TV. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly. With me is my colleague, Mr. Paul Friedlander.
With Total Title Solutions, representing the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. And our guest today is not only a very, very good friend for many years, but also a fellow board member for the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Jeremy George. With
Very
SERVPRO.
nice. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
We understand that your business is doing extremely well in spite of the challenging times. Talk about SERVPRO. What's happening with SERVPRO?
Well, we are a fire and water cleanup and restoration company, and so those are always still happening.
Yes,
Leaks
they
and
are.
Things
Seriously?
happening. Yeah, right.
Okay.
That still
I
goes
didn't think
on.
anything else was happening.
But And so with a lot of people home, where maybe you would get going to work, that they are kind of catching the small little damages and doing that. But a lot of the calls that we're receiving now is, how can we help get open? What do we need to do to sanitize and disinfect and clean? So we're dealing with a lot
Talk
of
to us
businesses
about
on
that.
that.
That's got to be
So-
very interesting, especially
Right.
for the small businesses listening
Right.
today. Talk to us about what you do to help them get back open. Or I'll give you a perfect example. We had one of the girls in the office was talking about it, a young man that was a busboy at a restaurant, wanted the day off, so he called in sick with COVID. And of course, the restaurant had to close down for 2 days. Somebody had to come in and do a deep clean. And of course, my understanding is they're going to prosecute because he didn't have it. He just wanted the day off. But in a situation like that, where it actually is, what do you have to do for those places, Jeremy?
That's a great question, Paul. So it's a big deal, obviously, if somebody said that. So we've kind of broken it down to where we have 2 types of cleanings now.
Okay.
If you were to call us for that, or sanitizing, is either you want to be proactive or if you have a confirmed case. So depending on what you want done,
Right.
that would be how we would kind of attack the
Did a lot of the
situation.
restaurants and the salons and the places that were not considered quote unquote essential at the beginning or weren't letting people come in, were a lot of them proactive in bringing you guys on?
Exactly. So they wanted it to be done before they brought in, and then we've set up a lot of companies where we're just doing it weekly for them, or bi-weekly or monthly, and they just want to have a little bit of peace of mind for them and their staff. And they're not really using a janitorial service. They're not that size company, but they want someone else to come in and provide that.
And what does that do? What do you do when you go in and do that? What happens?
Yeah, so we'll use an EPA-registered disinfectant, and we're using electrostatic sprayers. That's an important tool for us, and the reason for that is it provides even coverage on any of the surface we're doing. We'll have people say, well, can I just buy some of that from you and get a pump sprayer at Home Depot? It's not really the same thing. It's not the same. And then we'll hit all of the high touch points as well. So it'll be doorknobs, desk surfaces, keyboards, chairs, all of those things will also be touched by hand. So if you had a confirmed case, we would do the same process, but per the CDC guidelines, those should be done twice.
Okay.
So we would do that, and we would also vacuum loose soils.
Before opening.
Correct.
Time
And then
frame in
after
between?
opening, is there a return policy where you have to come back any
There's-
certain amount of time?
No, there's no return policy. So some people just that's where they would then set up a proactive if they just want to do that on a weekly or every other week basis. So we're happy to set that up for them. Or if they just want, until, hopefully they didn't have another issue, but if they did, then we could come in at that time.
Well, let me ask you a question, just thinking about this. What about residential? What about somebody's house where there's been a confirmed COVID? Have any of those? And I'm wondering if you would even think to reach out to somebody like you, and which I think would be an awesome idea. Has that corner turned at all?
We've done a lot of those, or if houses are for sale, and then they think that we've had some of those calls where someone that they thought saw the house that then notified the realtor, and then the realtors called us, so we've dealt with that. And then we've dealt with renter situations where then they moved out, and before they would rent it out, they want somebody to come in and disinfect.
So this opened up
and
a whole new world for you. That's awesome.
It did become a new vector we've always done pathogen cleanups. So whether it's from a sewage or other things that have happened where people get sick inside of a house. So we've done this for a long time, but this obviously nothing's had this type of awareness before.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Would
It
you
is.
recommend that somebody that's lives in a home where there's been a case of COVID, where they've quarantined for 2 weeks, where they've tested negative, would you recommend that would not be a bad idea to still bring somebody like you in once they've tested negative, to come in and do a cleanup again?
Yeah, we think it's a really good service. I mean, when you see how an electrostatic sprayer applies a disinfectant, and we have some good information out there where you could just see, okay, that's essentially being applied on every nook and cranny. And so then it provides good peace of mind for the others that are in the house or in the office, and they feel more comfortable. And the psychology behind it is
Right.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we could provide that for them.
Yeah, we're not going to say that word that we said earlier, though, but
No.
it's there. So you're really coming in
We
as
can use the word
hometown heroes, really.
We can use the word concern.
They're concerned.
They're concerned.
Exactly.
We try to alleviate concern.
Yes, there you go.
So
There
your
you
business
go.
has probably picked up quite a bit.
We have. Well, we've done a lot more of the sanitizing and preparing on that, and then interestingly, since this is actually our busy time of year because of just storms and the inclement
Sure.
weather. Things just seem to happen more in the summertime for us. But because people seem to be home or some of your offices are shut down, we're not dealing with as much as that. So, but more with the COVID cleanup. So, but we have remained busy, thankfully.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That is. How long have you been a member with the chamber?
Well, our company's been in the chamber. I know we've been in for at least 25 years. I personally have been there for 15. So we've been involved in the chamber
When
a
I
long
first
time.
got involved in the chamber, Lori was an ambassador.
So that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was
So,
probably 10, 11 years ago.
Yes.
And
How's
so
that
they
helped
could-
your business?
I love that we get to meet a lot of the people, and then I'll know different. So a great point is I didn't know that I'd heard of WeBeam TV, but I didn't know this studio was here. So as soon as I saw it, actually went outside and called my wife, like, this place is really cool. And so,
We know.
I know, right?
We're the
I
best
didn't
kept
know.
secret in Pasco County
I actually
and
took a-
Tampa Bay.
I took a picture of the bathroom and sent it to her. I was like, check out this bathroom.
The toilet paper holder.
Yeah, I was like, this place is really cool. I like it. So I talked to John a little bit about what they do. So that's what, as far as helping me in my business, I think it just helps awareness of people. But I also like that I just get to see a lot of people and understand what
Yeah.
they do, and then I'll remember, oh, this is who I should call over here, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So
It
I
feels
like that a
better
lot.
when you know somebody
I
that
love
you
it.
can call.
It's like a little cheers, you know.
And like a lot of the other members of the chamber, Jeremy and his wife Nora and the family have been big givers back to the community when it comes to local charities and things like that too. So
Nice.
we appreciate that. We
Nice.
appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. I think we view it as a community type business. I think it's important to give back to the community we're in, and I think everybody kind of thinks that way. But it's fun
And
to
with,
be able
with
to do it.
today's internet and stuff, my understanding too is you guys don't only serve the West Pasco market.
No, the way SERVPRO is set up is if a storm were to hit here, I couldn't possibly handle all of those phone calls. So what's great about the way the SERVPRO system is set up is we just go and help other areas. Because the last thing we'd want to deal with is, hey, Jeremy, I called your office, no one called me back, and we had 300 phone calls or whatever it is. You're just not suited for that. So it basically still looks like SERVPRO. They know they're getting taken care of, and so.
Now, do you guys go into Hernando though too?
Well, we have a Hernando territory
That's
as
what
well.
I thought. That's why I wanted to ask because again, being on the internet, it's not just the West Pasco people that'll see this interview. So you service East.
We have 3 territories.
Okay,
They're
those are-
titled West Pasco, Hernando County, and Wesley Chapel.
Wesley.
So those are 3 independent offices. We have.
Awesome.
Well, it's good to know that getting a response right away is actually critical. So when you
Yeah.
can act immediately and people don't have to be calling all around, because when there's something going on, you got to get out there.
Yeah, we've done a lot of storms from Hurricane Sandy, which is in New Jersey, and everything here in Florida. We've gone out to Colorado for flooding, and the one consistent thing, Barbara, is that people, they're panicked a little bit on the phone. So we can provide some calm voice and let them know we're coming, we're on the way.
Yeah.
And so wherever you live, that seems to be a consistent thought. And then when you talk to them, they take a deep breath, let them know we're coming.
I think it was SERVPRO that I called when we had a slab break, and we had water everywhere. It was crazy stuff going on. I'm pretty sure it was SERVPRO that I called.
Well, I guess I got to work on our branding a little bit to make sure you knew it was us. So I'm going to work on that.
Well, yeah, but there's this little long-term memory that kicks in, right? And don't you get started about that.
I would
But
never.
I'm pretty sure, and big fans and that, right?
Yes.
Big fans to
Terribly annoying and loud. Yes.
yeah.
And Jeremy, with the mind frame now, I can see this being a continuing niche into the future, no matter what the climate is like. People being more aware of sanitizing and their restaurants and their businesses and their homes and things. Do you see it that way too?
100%. I mean, I think we think it'll probably have some sort of lasting effect for all of us.
Yeah,
That we understand
exactly,
how things transmit, and we understand the need for sanitizing, and so we're set up for it.
That's awesome. Was it a tough thing to meet the CDC side, what their requirements were?
Well, yes and no, because I think all of us were kind of trying to figure out a little bit of it, but we have done pathogen cleanups for a long time, so we were licensed for biohazard cleanup through the state prior to this happening. So a lot of that mirrored that. But I think just understanding what are people wanting, and like everybody, we're trying to figure it out there in March and April of what's going on.
Well, if you're listening to this today or whenever you're listening to this, you guys have to go ahead and, I know it's been up there, but throw your phone number out there that they can contact before I forget.
Our office is 727-847-3000.
727, it's on the screen right now, 847-3000. Make sure that it's a phenomenal family-owned company, but it's a phenomenal family-owned company that'll come out there and protect your family and your friends and your businesses. So please make sure that you make it a point to reach out to Jeremy and the staff over at SERVPRO.
Exactly. Jeremy George, is great talking with you. Leave me a business card, okay?
I will.
And then I will definitely remember next time. Hopefully there won't be a next time, but, you know, we're in a, an established neighborhood and things happen. So,
Things do.
yeah. So thank you and good luck with your business, continued success. And thanks for joining us on My Chamber TV, because it's really good to get the exposure out there. And I checked over your website. Make sure you go to that website because there's a whole lot of info there. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
We'll see you
all.
back in a little
Thank you,
bit.
man.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back into My Chamber TV. We are the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly. With me is my colleague, Mr. Paul Friedlander.
With Total Title Solutions representing this month the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. And we have had 3 awesome guests on today, and we've got a 4th. This is a special day, and this guy is, again, good buddy. I've known probably for the last 2-3 years. Had him come speak at our Rotary clubs and things like that. But Steve Noble, who we're about to introduce to you, is the president and CEO of the Pasco Hernando Early Learning Coalition. But today we're going to concentrate on Pasco. And I mentioned to Barb before the show started that this guy came in to a situation that was not the best situation at the time and has turned it around and has been a real spark in our community. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Steve.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me this morning. There at Pasco Early Learning Coalition, we're going to focus on Pasco County. We're a 501c3, and our main emphasis is on children birth to 5. We do serve kids all the way to age 12 for before and after school programs, but our sweet spot is birth to 5.
And what exactly, Early Learning Coalition, what is your mission?
So we serve kids, we have 2 primary programs. We have the VPK program, which you're probably very familiar with. So all 4-year-olds in the state of Florida are afforded a free half-day program throughout the school year as preparation for kindergarten. And then we have a school readiness program, which is a subsidized, for subsidized care, clients that fall into an income level that they're eligible for services. They're both state-funded, state-run programs out of Tallahassee.
Yeah, and you were saying before we started today that there was some, and I think it's an important misconception to get across. You mentioned about the budget, but then you also mentioned the most important part.
Yeah, so I'm really proud of our team and our board of directors. We have 21 board members, so we have a very involved group that represent both counties, and we have a $36 million budget. And so when people hear that, sometimes they say, "Wow, that's a lot of money." But what I'm really proud of is we run almost 98% direct services back to children, back to our providers, our teachers, putting the money where it needs to be, which is with the kids and with the teachers. So we run out of 30 coalitions in the state of Florida. We usually have the best, if not the second best, admin rate out of all the coalitions. So I think the viewers, it's just important for them to know that.
Yeah, it is. Well, 'cause
donations and things that come into us they're used for the right
people
purposes.
say $36 million. What the heck do they need any more money for? But you got to remember, they're working with the most important part
Oh,
of
absolutely.
our communities, and that's the kids 0 to 5 and up to 12 years old. And 0 to 5, and correct me, I know you're the one with the doctorate, but I know that that's a really important time in terms of their learning functions. Talk about that, please.
Great segue, Paul. So we know a lot about brain development, but it's a really easy fact for folks to hear that 85% of the child's brain develops before they walk through the kindergarten doors. So it's a really critical time. They're a blank slate when they're born, and it's a chance for not only the parent as their first teacher, but all the preschool teachers that have an impact on all of our kids, preparing them for school. There's a ton of research out there. If children reach 3rd grade and they're not at the right reading level, they continue to drop, then that often leads to dropping out of high school, and all the workforce issues that we tend to see that result from that. So it is really critical to, and we're seeing the Florida Chamber, we're seeing a lot of other groups, local chambers, dive into early literacy and dive into all the spaces that are necessary to help our kids be prepared. And it's not just being able to read, it's social emotional development, it's being able to sit on a rug and listen to a story without getting up and moving around. It's being able to socialize with other peers and play with other kids, and so they learn through play. And so it's really important to make sure that parents and teachers understand that as they're working with with their children and with their students, to prepare them.
So that is a wonderful engagement, and I'm guessing that's also helping them develop how to manage their emotions.
Correct. That's, I think, for my wife teaches first grade, and even teaching first grade, she can see and kind of pinpoint the children who have had a really strong early childhood preparatory program to come to the school, because kids that don't have that, or kids that don't have a lot of socialization through those first 5 years, tend to stand out as kids that are just not prepared to interact with all their peers on an emotional level, on a social level.
Steve, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you'll probably, if anybody will have an answer for it, you will. But you mentioned your wife being a first grade teacher, and I'm also part and actively involved with Pasco Kids First. And those people like your wife are the first, what I would call first responders when it comes to anything going on. So that's going to have, especially with socializing and things like that, with what the situation is right now. Do you guys have any plans for how you'll compensate for that while they're doing it virtually and things like that?
So I could speak to the birth to 5 space. We have right now we have again, another proud point for me. We have 92% of our operating businesses. There's well over 260 businesses that contract with us in the 2 counties, and 92% of them are open and operating. So our directors, our owners, our teachers in the preschools are heroes. They've come right out and continue to teach, continue to focus on the kids, and give parents an opportunity to go to work that don't have the chance to be home with their children. In terms of K-12, it's kind of, I think it's something that's changing every day, because some of it's coming from the state through executive order, and then at the local level trying to determine how that can happen. I would envision that they're going to have to get very creative with spaces to manage social distancing. Believe it or not, we've interacted a lot with our owners and directors, and the children have responded really well with the masks.
They're adaptable.
I have a hard time with it when I go into Publix and places like that, keeping it on for 30 minutes or not touching it. But the kids, we've heard, I usually go out and visit providers every 2 weeks. It's one of my goals is to get out, and I spend a morning with board members every 2 weeks, and so that's kind of hurt me that I haven't been able to do that since all this started in March. But just from talking to folks.
The fact that you mentioned 90%, so the key there, and if you listen to what you said prior, you do have an answer for that 0 to 5, where the emotional and the learning and the whole thing is really growth in their brain. The fact that 92% of your organizations are open, 92% of your facilities are open. And I bragged on you a little bit before we started the conversation again, but talk about what you came into when you got here. Talk about what's going on now in terms of numbers.
So when I got to the coalition, we had about 2,000 children on the wait list that were waiting for services. We serve about 9,000 kids per day, between 9 and 9,500 kids a day.
9,000 per day?
Yeah.
That's just in Pasco?
No, it's about 7,000 in Pasco. It's about 75% are Pasco. So it's a big undertaking. It's a big number. We had almost 2,000 on the wait list. So we were fortunate. We had some federal funds come in. We got creative, applied for some grants, and we got that number down to 0. So we're really thrilled that all the kids that parents, whether they're eligible or they're not, when parents come through the door at one of our offices and or call us and say, I need services, it's a real blessing to be able to say we can help you right away and you don't have to wait.
This is wonderful to know.
Yeah.
This is great. This is
And
really
so we
good.
encourage folks, if we have a number of parent resources where we can help parents. We have a lot of situations where we have foster parents and grandparents raising children. Just check our website. There's a ton of resources on that. Feel free to call us. We've got staff, at the helm ready to help, and that's our mission, is to prepare the kids to be able to be successful in school.
Throw that number out there while we're talking about it, the phone number.
It's 727-233-8291.
That is really good. I'm going to go on your website and study that, because I now that I have a grandson, he's well taken care of and all, but there's people surrounding in the community.
And as we're starting to, and time goes so fast when we're doing these, and you've got such a great story to tell. Talk a little bit about the two big events that obviously might be a little bit different, but talk about Storybook Forest and talk about the conference you guys do every year.
Yeah, so we have an event called Storybook Forest. It's we just had our 12th last year, back in March. Actually, Paul was there and volunteered, which was fantastic, with Lisa Shipley. So we had both those folks came out, which was great. We had more than half our board members in attendance. We had almost 2,000 people at Cruise Lake Park. And we bring stories to life. Our providers that contract with us set up almost like a tailgate situation, and they bring a story to life. We had mermaids that Paul helped me carry. So we could get them from Weeki Wachee. We had we had the sheriff's department and the fire department and the public library system, a ton of partners. So that's our community outreach event. That's our go-to for early literacy. And then our other event that I'm really excited about, for the same 12 years we've been doing our conference. And our annual conference, we give teachers the opportunity, and directors and owners the opportunity to earn CEUs. Professional development is critical. The system has to get better, and the only way for it to get better is to arm the teachers with the skills they need, and the directors to run great businesses and to be able to be outstanding teachers for these kids. So
This is wonderful.
we're going to do that conference. We talked about, nobody else in the state is doing a conference except for Miami-Dade. Everybody else is canceled, and we're going to go through with it, but we're going to do it virtually. So we moved it back to November to give us a little time to do that. So we're going to do like everything. We're going to Zoom it, and we'll figure it out. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, I'm just really blown away with all of this. I had no idea, so it's really great that we can give you exposure here on My Chamber
Yeah, I love the
TV.
opportunity, and Paul's been great. I've spoken, I think, to every chamber and Rotary group and Kiwanis group, and I love to do it. So.
That's so great. Well,
Yes,
thanks so
appreciate
much
it.
for
Thanks for
coming
coming
on.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good luck. Continued success. Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Welcome back into My Chamber TV. We are the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is Paul Friedlander, featuring the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. And I'm going to let you do the intro because we've got the big guy here from the chamber.
Introduce you to, again, I know I keep saying this, but he may not know, but he is a good friend, and he is the president, CEO of the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce, 1,100 plus members. And we also have a second guest on here. I'd like to introduce you to Basket Man. We'll be interviewing him later in the show.
Yes.
That is a huge basket.
Tim McClain, talk to us, young man. What's going on over at the Chamber?
You know, a lot of things are going on. Obviously, we're like any other business right now. It's not quite as active. And by the way, some businesses are very active right now, but in our case, we're not as active as we used to. As you may or may not know, we're actually a welcome center as well as a Chamber of Commerce. Yes. So we're the entryway to the city of Newport Richey. We're right before the bridge. We're in a beautiful building, been there since 1972, and we sort of welcome everybody into the city of Newport Richey before you go over the bridge, see the hacienda and downtown. So we have a lot of foot traffic. Normally, we're down. Well, we're probably seeing 6 to 7 people a day versus literally 20 to 30 in the heydays. And when it comes snowbird season, that number picks up too. And the same thing with phone calls. So what we're trying to do is find ways to help our members get noticed. Because like I said, a lot of them, believe it or not, are even busier than normal, but some of them aren't. Obviously, restaurants, any kind of thing that involves what we would consider personal sort of touch or close proximity, those are our businesses that are still struggling. So if you can keep them in your mind, if you can help, if you're uncomfortable going to a restaurant right now, we understand, try takeout. Try helping them that way if you can. And again, think about your, thank goodness they're open again, but barber shops, hairstylists, nails, those places were closed for a long time. So think of those kind of people that had a really tough couple of months and help them come back, because most of them are coming back. It's just going to take a little time.
And Tim, I'd like to, at this point, it made me think of this, because of what he just mentioned about the places that were closed for maybe a month, 6 weeks, 2 months. If your situation allows you, think about throwing a little bit of a bigger tip to those people, because they went. I try to always pay attention to that when I can. And look, I understand not everybody can, but if you can, think about throwing them an extra $5 or something like that, just to sort of help them make up for the downtime they had. I've been to a lot of them that were closed for 2 or 3 months. None of them are complaining. They're just glad to be open. But if you have an opportunity to extend an extra hand to them, take the time to do that.
Yeah, it's important to help those that we know through this, because you're going to see probably through this whole process some of our favorites disappear. We see a lot of retailers struggling right now because retail is not what it used to be. We see a lot of online doing very well and succeeding, but let's think about this. We are a shop local. Shop and support your businesses here. And we understand that the remote and those kind of activities exist and will always be there. But if you can get it local, think about somebody local, because I think that the phrase I love the best is, when did you see Amazon support your kids' Little League baseball team?
Excellent
or your
point.
cheerleading team, or your high school? Think about those people that over the years you've seen their names attached to your schools, your children's schools, etc., where they gave back. Now it's time for us to give back to them.
That's a great point.
You know, that
Really
is
good
a
point.
really great point, and we do that exactly what you're saying, and the restaurants that are only open for carryout are there with open arms for you. They go out of their way,
they do.
truly.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there adding up what it would cost me to cook a chicken souvlaki sandwich, right? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I don't have to cook, it's too hot, I'm going to go get it. Carry out, right?
Exactly.
So you can really, and then you're helping them and giving them that tip, and they do go the extra mile for you.
Yeah, they do. And again, think about it. They were the ones that fed, again, either your cheerleading squad or your baseball or your football or your soccer or whatever. They're the ones that donated the pizzas and things. And I think we forget that. And we don't do it on purpose, but we forget it. And we take the convenience factor. And trust me, there's always going to be a need for a convenience factor. But if it's close, think about local. Think about supporting those people that support your community. I mean, I love it. Amazon is not a member. I'm telling you that right now. So they're not helping the community. They're not helping us with the holiday parade. We were just talking about it. They don't help us with the Christmas tree we put up in Sims Park every year.
Yeah.
All these community things, they're not helping any of us. They may give people jobs, but not even in Pasco. They're building a little distribution center here, but it's only about 100,000 square feet. It's like 1 million everywhere else. But, keep that in mind. But you know what? We still have things going on.
Yes,
we do.
Absolutely.
Can you believe it? We
Exciting.
still have things happening. So one of the things we want to remind you is every Thursday is a brochure exchange, except for the first Thursday, and hopefully we'll get that one going again. So that means the second, the third, and the fourth Thursday of every month, it's a brochure exchange. Now, we don't hand paper out anymore because it's all by Zoom. But it gives you the opportunity now to say, hey, this is who I am, get to know other people on there. It's a little more casual because it is through Zoom. But it gives you the ability, if you know how to share a screen, to pop up your company logo or maybe a flyer about something that you're doing, a sale or new service. SERVPRO was on here right in front of us a little earlier. Everybody thinks a SERVPRO is, something disaster happens and they fix it, which they do. Great job. Now they can prepare you to be open safely either at work or for the public. So, let people know that. And these are great things. So you've got the Thursday, the 13th of August, the Land O'Lakes Brochure Exchange. You've also got the 20th, which is the Trinity, and you got the 27th with the Newport Richey Brochure Exchange. So that's really cool, and check that out right there. That is where you register. So how do I register for these free events? You click one of those boxes right there, and bam, it'll take you to the registration page. It's free, quick, and easy, and you'll be given the Zoom link after you register. So it is that simple.
And Tim, so we don't forget, first Wednesday of the month, we have a breakfast, correct?
The first Wednesday of the month, which is last week, it was obviously the first Wednesday of the month then, and we had networking with Jim Engelman. If you ever went to the Hungry Harry's networking in Land O'Lakes, first of all, if you've ever been to Hungry Harry's, it's great. It used to be a breakfast, a beautiful spread, and then we networked, and it was like a brochure exchange with a little twist. There's an educational part. Yes. So Jim always teaches you something about networking. This is free education. He's excellent at this.
Yes, he is.
And you'll have a section where he'll try to teach you something, and then we still do the same thing with the 30-second intro commercials and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? I don't want to forget Professional Women in Business. That's the 19th. That's Wednesday. Same thing on that front page, greaterpasco.com. You'll be able to register for Professional Women in Business. Just click. I believe I would call that, I don't know, I'd call that purple. Some people call it other colors, but nonetheless, that's what I would do is click it, register. They usually have great topics and they have great speakers, but guess what? They have a game. I think it's like a let's make a deal game going right now. So it's going to be a more casual meeting this month, which will give you a great chance to learn about the other members of the Professional Women in Business and get to know them a little bit better on a personal side.
Very nice.
Awesome. And let's talk about, we're actually having an event, a safe one that we can do.
There's one thing that is considered social distance without an issue that's been going on since day one, and that is golf. And Chasco Fiesta Golf Tournament that we hold every year during Chasco Fiesta obviously was canceled because of Chasco Fiesta being canceled. But we're having we're calling it a sports fan golf outing. It's really just a fun golf outing. It's not like your typical tournament where we're selling you mulligans and trying to get you to buy this and trying to get you to buy that. We're going to go play golf. It's only $75 a person. We're going to have a lunch afterwards, and it's social distancing, except for the clubhouse. You need to wear a mask because of obviously Pasco County code, or requirements right now. But playing golf, you don't have to wear it. So we're going to have a great time in the golf tournament. And that's the 28th. That's at 8 a.m. at Meadow Oaks Golf and Country Club. So that's going to be, again, the main page. You'll be able to click and get information. You can even sponsor the lunch if you want. You can be the title sponsor if you want. We've really lowered the amounts on that. And like I said, it's only $300 for a foursome. And it'll be fun to see other people and have a little competition. But it's not going to be your traditional big golf tournament. It's going to be very limited to the number of players.
All right, and we got time winding down. I can't believe how quick this goes, but should know by now.
Yes.
But I'm being part of the ambassadors. We just had a meeting, and one of the things we discussed is we sponsor the Christmas tree in Sims Park. As Tim mentioned earlier, a lot of times they think it's the city, but last year the ambassadors for the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce sponsored that tree. We're going to do that again this year. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to offer 3 baskets, one in August, one in September, and one in October to help raise money for that. And this is our first one. Look at the size of this puppy. This is a beautiful basket put together by A.L. Saland Insurance Group. They were just on the show a little bit ago. And gosh, only April and Les put a basket like this together. Tim, you want?
It's full of stuff. There's beach stuff back here that looks like a nice little almost jetty. Here's a nice apron. You can see a squirts or a mister. In here somewhere is a $50 Publix gift card.
Nice.
$50 Publix gift card. So there's a lot of stuff. And liquor's in here from my understanding, maybe some wine and some other stuff. So it is full of stuff.
Very nice. Very nice. I've never seen that.
We will have this on the website for you to bid on.
Yes.
Very cool.
All right.
Is that it?
That's it. Other than if you need free masks, come see us at the chamber. We'll give you a 5-pack of masks. You can get 2 if you be nice.
Aw, well, that's great. Thanks
Awesome.
for coming on here,
Thank
Tim.
you.
We'll see you next time. I'm glad to see that you've got some events still coming in spite of the you-know-what. I just don't want to say the word. Thanks for joining us here on My Chamber TV. We'll see you again next time.